Shalom Aleichem, a good Erev Shabbos to everybody. It's here. Shabbos Slichus is here. Shabbos Mevorchim. And who's blessing us this month? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God Almighty Himself. Next Shabbos, Yimit Hashem, is Reish Hashanah Tovshim Pei Aleph 5781. So today, I'll talk a little bit about the Boyaner Rebbe, the Boyaner Hasidim, a little bit about Boyan and Lubavitch. And this happened in 1980. Actually, 1980 and then 1981. The Boyaner Rebbe, Reb Mordechai Shlomo Friedman, who came to America in 1927. He passed away in 1971, I believe, 67 or 71. Anyway, his son Yisrael, he wanted him to become the Rebbe, but he didn't want. So then he went to the daughter's, Malka's husband, Rabbi Menachem Breyer, who was a professor at Yeshiva University and a great Torah scholar, and that didn't work out either. So then the Hasidim said, well, you have two sons, Yigal, the older one, and let's try him. So they spoke to him, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out with him either. So finally, they said, let's talk about the youngest son of Rebbe Menachem Breyer, Reb Nachum Dov, today's Rebbe. He was at the time, when his grandfather passed away, 12 years old, and during the 70s, he was learning the Yeshiva Chassan Sefer, and he was a young teenager. The pressure was enormous, and he had a difficult time dealing with the pressure. And subsequently, when he was 17 years old in 1976, he left for Eretz Yisrael to study at the Boyaner Yeshiva, because Boyan comes from Rebbe Yisrael Ruzhner, known as the Heilige Ruzhner, as the Tzemach Tzedek referred to him, the Heilige Ruzhner. And that might be one reason, another reason why there was always a good kesher between Chabad and the Ruzhner dynasty, Sadigur, Boyan, Kapishnitz, Buhash, Satan, and a few others. They're all children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren from the Yisrael Ruzhner. And because the Tzemach Tzedek, who actually never met the Ruzhner, Tzemach Tzedek sent Rabbi Isaac Humler in 1840 or 43, when there was the various decrees on the Jewish community and the educational system, and Tzemach Tzedek wanted the Ruzhner to support his efforts. That was when it gelled together, and the Tzemach Tzedek referred to him as the Heilige Ruzhner. But it could also be that this was because the Ruzhner's grandfather was Rabbi Avram Amalach, the son of the Mezritcher Maggid. And Rabbi Avram Amalach was a chavrusa with the Alter Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek's grandfather. The Alter Rebbe taught him Nigle, Talmud, Halacha, etc. on a deep level. And he taught the Alter Rebbe Kabbalah on a deep level. And the famous story, once they were learning together, and the Alter Rebbe felt his soul is ascending to heaven, he's having Klois HaNefesh, his soul is leaving its body, and he's having an ecstatic state, but it's overwhelming. So he quickly grabbed a bagel, and he ate a bagel to ground him. That itself, there's much to talk about. The Rebbe spoke about it, and shared lessons we could take from that. But going back to what happened in 1970s and 80s with Reb Nochem Dov Breyer, today's Boyaner Rebbe. So he left Eretz Yisrael in 76 as a 17-year-old teenager, and he really made a change in his entire character and being, in that he gravitated towards learning and davening and being groomed by older Boyaner Hasidim, yet from before the war, to become eventually the Boyaner Rebbe. But he nevertheless did not take the mantle of leadership during the 70s. In 1980, May of 1980, he was in Crown Heights, and the Boyaner Rebbe was going to marry Reb Zisha Heschel's daughter. And Reb Zisha Heschel was a son of the Kapishnitzer Rebbe. The Kapishnitzer Rebbe had a son-in-law, Reb Zalman Gerari, the Chabad family, Gerari, Reb Zalman Gerari of Crown Heights and his family. He was a son-in-law, Reb Zalman, of the Kapishnitzer Rebbe. So the Boyaner Rebbe, by marrying the daughter of Reb Zisha Heschel, he became related to the Geraris. So when he was in Crown Heights in 1980, May of Crown Heights, a month before he married in June of 1980 in Yerushalayim, I guess he was there visiting with Reb Zalman and the family. Suddenly the Rebbe said he wants to see him. Now Reb Zalman was a middleman all the years to talk to the Boyaner, to Nochem, to take the leadership. So the Rebbe called him in, and we don't have a written account. At least I don't have a written account of what took place, but the Geraris have confirmed with me that it was about the Rebbe encouraging him to be a Rebbe for his Hasidim, because a Hasidim must have a Rebbe, etc., etc. Achar Shel Pesach, 1981, Rabbi Ephraim Yolis of Philadelphia would come to Aliyas Regel. He would make a pilgrimage to the Rebbe every year, showing respect. He had a relationship with the Frierdiker Rebbe and the Rebbe. And he said to the Rebbe that his family was there too, but one of the grandchildren wasn't there. So he said to the Rebbe, he's studying at the Boyaner Yeshiva in Yerushalayim, that's why he's not here. When the Rebbe heard that, the Rebbe said, and what's going on with appointing a Boyaner Rebbe? So he said that there was some discussion, but he couldn't be part of it because he had to run to a Sheva Brachas while he was in Yerushalayim that past winter, I guess. And he said that the Boyaner Rebbe just had a baby, and he was there, but he had to leave. And then the Rebbe said to him, you must tell him that it's not good that there's no Boyaner Rebbe. Hasidim need to have a living Rebbe, and he is the candidate, and he's the right person, and he should agree to do this as soon as possible. Rabbi Yolis said he would communicate the Rebbe's words, but this is 1981. He didn't actually take the leadership of Boyaner until Hanukkah of 1984. The relevance between this and Shabbos Slichas, Rosh Hashanah, a Rosh, a head, a Rosh, is the nerve center. A Rebbe is the nerve center of a Hasidus. A Rebbe is the nerve center of the Jewish people. I propose to each and every one of my listeners to intensify your relationship with your Rebbe if you have already a Rebbe. And if you don't have yet a Rebbe, this Rosh Hashanah is the right time to choose a Rebbe for yourself. And if you'll ask, how do I choose a Rebbe? Is it like choosing, something else? Of course not. It's a soul choice. So ignite your soul. You have 48 hours. Yom Arich Damya, the 48 hours of Rosh Hashanah. And together with the Kabbalah soil of dedicating ourselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with total subservience coronating him as Hamelech, like Rabbi Soloveitchik would say, sie is the Tag von der Koronatie. It's the coronation day of the Melech. That also includes making a personal Melech for yourself, a Rebbe. And that means, yes, you have to be ready and willing to do things the way the Rebbe wants, not the way you and I want. Because if choosing a Rebbe means, well, I'll go to him for advice, but when I don't like what he says, I'll do it my way, you don't have a Rebbe, and you'll never will have a Rebbe. You might have a Rosh Hashiva, you might have a good Rav or a rabbi, a good friend, but you don't have a Rebbe. If you want a Rebbe experience, be ready and willing to give yourself totally over to the tzaddik, to the Rebbe. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us that we should come to the realization and understanding that this is important for us as Yidden, all Yidden, not just Hasidim, all Yidden need a Rebbe. And number two, to come to a place where you are able and willing to say, I'm ready to commit myself to this tzaddik because this tzaddik communicates the Dvar Hashem, the words of Hashem, to us, to me, and I know that this is the right path. L'chaim, l'chaim, elul, ober l'chaim, vidr l'chaim, ibesimcha, and let's march the last week before Rosh Hashanah with such commitment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that will see all the tzaddikim and our Rebbe in Yerushalayim in HaKodesh, b'mheira b'yameinu, with the coming of Mashiach. Amen v'amen.